Um, this Thursday was the first hearing of the January 6th Klan riot. And Thursday's explosive hearing laid it out. Trump oversaw and coordinated a 7 point plan to overthrow the election that he knows he lost. Thursday's night public hearing by the House January 6th committee made one thing very fucking clear. Donald Trump is personally in the crosshairs. We are coming for him with receipts in the form of testimony from some of his closest aides and sycophantic allies. The committee seems prepared to destroy any pretense that Trump was a casual bystander in the Klan insurrection. In fact, its members are building a case that he actively encouraged it, which we know he did, and by refusing to take actions for many hours a day, that he was an actual accomplice. Now, the committee plans to go knocking down the big lie by answering a big legal and moral question. Did Donald Trump know he lost the election? The answer is very fucking clear. Yes, he did, but he didn't want to accept it. Everyone around him told him so. His former aide and current associate Jason Miller had testified that their own number crunches that their own number crunches the number crunchers told him he had lost. Attorney General William Barr told him that spreading the lie that the election was stolen was bullshit. His own daughter wife Ivanka had testified that she believed what Barr had said, and we learned all of this from hearing their first own words in videotape testimony, which made it very powerful. Um, in her own opening statement, committee, the vice chairwoman Liz Cheney laid out the whole case. Over multiple months, Donald Trump oversaw and coordinated a sophisticated 7 part plan to overturn the presidential election and prevent the transfer of presidential power. Now this 7 part plan forms the basis for the committee hearings that are yet to come. The next one is scheduled for today, Monday, June 13th at 10 a.m., which it's about an hour later now, Eastern Time, and it will demonstrate that Trump encouraged and engaged in a massive effort to spread lies and fraudulent information, even though he knew that if he had lost the election. Most of us already know that, of course, but it'll be very helpful to have his own allies make this case. Now, the following hearing will be set for Wednesday at June 15th, and it will dig deeper into the second part of the plot, which was aimed at influencing the Department of Justice and replacing anyone who refused to back Trump's phony claims of election fraud with those who would. The former acting Attorney General Jeffrey Rosen and his then deputy Richard Donahue, both of whom were Trump appointees, will be testifying. Now, there will be likely a fourth hearing on Thursday, June 16th, and 2 more that following week, with the final hearing, again, scheduled to be in prime time, probably on June 23rd, which happens to be the day of my birthday. Now, these hearings will presumably cover the rest of the 7 point plot in considerable detail. Now, we didn't hear an explicit summary on Thursday, but a committee source confirmed it this way. Now, this is the 7 part plot, and these are all 7 of what Trump tried to do. Number 1, Trump engaged in a massive effort to spread false and fraudulent information to the American public, claiming the 2020 election was stolen from him, like I said, when in reality it wasn't. 2, Trump corruptly planned to replace the acting Attorney General so that the Department of Justice would support his fake election claims. 3, Trump corruptly pressured the Vice Squatter Mike Pence to refuse to count the certified electoral votes in violation of the U.S. Constitution and the law. 4 is Trump corruptly pressured state election officials and state legislators to change election results. 5, Trump's legal team and other Trump associates instructed Republicans in multiple states to create the false electoral slates and transmit those slates to Congress and the National Archives. 6, Trump summoned and assembled a violent mob in Washington and directed them to march on the U.S. Capitol. And 7, as the violence was underway, Trump ignored multiple pleas for assistance and failed to take immediate action to stop the violence and instruct his sycophants to leave the Capitol. Now, when the committee gets to the third point, the pressure campaign on the Mike Pence pressure, and we assume that we can include all the material on Attorney John Eastman, the mastermind of that particular scheme. In whichever hearing addresses the fourth point, pressure on state election officials and state legislators, Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger is reportedly set to testify. Now, it seems likely that the final primetime hearing will offer new details on points 6 and 7, building the new legal and moral case that Trump was responsible for summoning the violent mob and unleashing them on the Capitol, inciting the Klan attack, and exploring what actually happened during the many hours when Trump was watching the violence at the Capitol and he did nothing to stop it. Now, the second half of Thursday's hearing, that's focused on the crucial role in the assault played by the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers. Now, in videotape statements, members who said that Trump's standby comment in the 2020 debate greatly increased recruitment and that they immediately began planning to come to Washington, D.C. On January 6th, after Trump put out the call in his infamous tweet of December 19th, he says, "Be there, it will be fucking wild." Nick Quested, a British documentary filmmaker who was embedded with the Proud Boys before and during the January 6 events, testified Thursday night that he filmed a meeting between Enrique Tarrio of the Proud Boys and Stuart Rhodes of the Oath Keepers in a parking garage on the night of January 5th, although he could not hear what they said to each other. Now, on the morning of January 6th, members of both the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers had assembled at the Capitol long before Trump told his Klan rally audience at the Ellipse to march to the Capitol and pressure weak Republicans, including Pence, to overturn the election. It was apparently Proud Boys who first broke through police lines and smashed windows at the Capitol building in what was clearly a fully formed plan. Now, it makes you wonder, did Trump know in advance that the Proud Boys would try to enter the Capitol? Just this week, we learned that he had been talking about leading a march on the Capitol for 2 weeks, but the Secret Service had rebuffed that request, and there was no permit for such a march, which was one reason why there was such a light police presence at the Capitol, even though Trump sycophants were posting about it all over social media. Now, once the Klan insurrection was underway, we know that Trump refused to do anything to stop it, and Cheney said on Thursday night that he had also placed no call to any element of the U.S. government to instruct the Capitol to be defended, but several such calls were made by Pence, on the other hand. So Pence was the one that called in the National Guard. Trump did not. Now, while we don't have the full picture yet, the committee plans to cover this in a future hearing, and we know that Trump said some serious things during that 187-minute interval when he refused to call off the mob. One of the most startling moments in the hearing was footage of a writer reading Trump's tweet condemning Pence through a megaphone, and over that megaphone you could hear the crowd chanting, "Hang Mike Pence, hang Mike Pence." According to one witness, he apparently responded to that chant this way. Now that sounds, now there's a tweet here, and it says Liz Cheney says that Trump was heard saying, "Maybe our supporters have the right idea," when they said something about hanging Mike Pence. No, they don't. That means they're willing to commit a criminal act. That sounds curiously like what Trump reportedly said to White House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy when McCarthy begged him to tell the sycophantic rioters to leave the Capitol. "Well, Kevin, I guess these people are more upset about the election than you are." On the night of January 5th, when Pence told Trump that he had no authority to overturn the election, Trump was listening to the raucous crowd gathered outside the White House and asked the Vice Squatter, "What if these people say? What if these people say you do?" And which he doesn't. The committee chair, Benny Thompson, who's a Democrat from Mississippi, had told Jake Tapper that they have evidence that the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers were in contact with people in Trump's orbit, and it raises the proverbial question made famous in Watergate: What did the president or squatter know, and when did he know it? Now, Donald Trump staged a coup, and Republican officials have known this from the beginning, but after a brief moment of common sense and decency, they reverted to type and excused it, and they defended it and even endorsed it. I'm sure most of them are so far gone that nothing will move them at this point. But if there is even one of them with a conscience, Liz Cheney's words had to wound them deeply. Now, this is what Liz Cheney had said, and I agree with what she said, even though I don't agree with her policies. Now, she said tonight, "I say this to my Republican colleagues who are defending the defensible. There will come a day when Donald Trump is gone, but your fucking dishonor will remain." Now, stay tuned. Thursday was just a preview. The plan to overthrow a legal election will be revealed in even greater detail over the rest of this month, and it's even worse than we fucking know. So if you liked the video, you can give the video a like and subscribe to my channel, RBW King. You can hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified when a new video comes out. And if you want to support my work even further, you can donate to my Patreon link, which you can find in the About section of YouTube. And for just as little as a few bucks a month, your donation can help go a long way. And thanks for listening.